Hello, everybody. Welcome to Albion Obsessed, episode number 22. I'm going to stop saying the numbers, guys, because
You got it wrong last
I
time.
got it. I got it wrong.
I noticed
So,
that.
Did you?
this is my last time saying the numbers. From there on, we can just put it in the title, so I won't get it wrong. But anyway, we are joined today by Kurtis. How are you, my friend?
Not too bad, Treacle, not too bad. Yeah.
Good. And we are joined by Aaron. How are you, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good, thank you.
Good stuff. And there is a Seagull Social Albion Obsessed crossover today. We are also joined by Ryan Adsett. How are you, my friend?
Yes, mate. Not too bad. Not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. Thank you. I never get asked. They never ask me back. So that's
Oh,
really
Joe.
nice. Thank you. Yeah, I'm good, mate. I see you was up at Leicester yesterday. So did you get home in a timely manner? Was it all good?
Well, I'm actually at my girlfriend's at the minute, and we're about 170 miles away from home. So she lives in the Midlands, so it's actually only about 20 minutes to half an hour away from me. So it was actually okay. But
decent.
Leicester fans. I don't know if you went, but my God, they have genuinely the most embarrassing fan base I've ever seen. Like, they were literally all about 13 years old, giving it all this for about I don't even know how long, and ended up getting police up there and everything. Oh my God, it was embarrassing. But yeah, it was a good day out though. It was a good day out.
Oh, decent. Yeah. Another late goal, but we'll come to that in a bit, I'm sure. But I'm sure everyone watching and listening knows who you are, Ryan. But we'll just fly through some numbers now. So you've got over 50,000 followers across your social room accounts, which is incredible numbers. And you've obviously won awards. Was it this year or last year you won that?
I don't like this. This is weird. I'm used to being on Seagull Social. They take the mick out of me. This is strange.
No way.
Yeah, we won an award October, which was really cool. Just best in social, which was nice. But it's just about now moving on from that. I don't want to celebrate it too much because obviously we want to get it again this year. So that's the aim, you know. So it's all good though. Yeah.
Where did that all start though? Was it just you starting that or?
So I started it in the lockdown 2020 in I want to say July. I was speaking to a guy that I knew from Copper 90 because I did some stuff with Copper 90 from about 2018. And they basically this guy essentially was like my mentor. His name's Scott, and he just gave me loads of ideas all the time and was trying to get me, drive me on to do better things after I left Copper. And he had this random idea of, you should start a network because, you've got TURQ Seagulls. You've done that for, I've done TURQ Seagulls for about 8 years. So he said, you need to make TURQ Seagulls the next level now. So that's why TSR is TURQ Seagulls Ryan. Obviously, it's the social room, but it's TURQ Seagulls Ryan. It's just like the extended bit of it. And it was just one of those things that, we had over WhatsApp. And I thought that sounds quite a cool idea. Obviously, we had lockdown, so there was nothing else to do anyway. I planned it out for about 3 months and launched it in the September, and obviously made it a business in November. But yeah, it was crazy. It was a bit of a crazy idea that we just thought would be quite cool. Found as many people as I could to, make it more of a reality. And then spoke to a lad called Will, who's a West Ham fan. He's basically been the guy who's, you're like your assistant manager sort of thing, and he's been sort of there for you throughout the whole thing and helps you with the content. It's been really good. Like, it's getting now at the point where we can enjoy it. I mean, the first sort of year was a slog, and you just want to grind numbers out. But then now it's just a bit like quite nice after the awards and everything, and obviously brands look at you a bit more. It's quite nice. So, it's been a crazy last year and a bit, really. Everything's just changed.
Yeah, it's been mad to watch as well. And I bet you're at a point now where, obviously, as you say, for that first year, you're really like trying to pump out as much content as possible. Maybe things aren't quite going the way that you wanted it to, but obviously you've achieved the award and the numbers continue to grow. So are you at a point now where, as you say, you can just relax with it and the numbers and the business from it will come?
No, I wish, but no, we're not relaxing yet. I think if anything, it's probably a lot more hectic. There's a lot of things I've got to do. I've got to go to London about some stuff, which I don't want to say because I don't want to jinx it. But I'm hoping that this all comes off before I say anything. This week I should know a bit more. But yeah, there's a lot more hard work now to do because obviously I want to scale it a bit better. I want it to be more than just some lads in the WhatsApp chat that post on Instagram. It needs to be now a media outlet, a social media network. I want it to be proper, so I'm trying to expand it to more of the game than just English football, which hopefully is by the end of this year. But it should be a good year. I'm hoping this year should be a good one because there's plenty of ideas and plans and people. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, fair play to you, because it's no secret that social media can be a very scary place. With obviously the amount of numbers you have, and obviously the amount of toxicity that goes on with social media. So yeah, for you to obviously be as young as you are and be as successful as you are so far, obviously you want it to be bigger, but it's incredible. So fair play to you, mate. As we say, we won't dabble in that too much. It makes you feel uncomfortable.
No, I'm not uncomfortable. I'm not uncomfortable. It's nice. It's nice to be asked the questions. Obviously, I just don't really ask them that much, so it's quite nice. But yeah,
fair.
No, thank you. I do appreciate all the support as well, Joe. Because I know you supported me for a lot as well. So that's why I wanted to come on the podcast, because I wanted to help you guys out as well if I can. So
cheers, mate.
We appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Of course. Cool.
Oh, nice one. But obviously we'll talk about the Albion, because that's what we're all here for, really. As you say, you went to Leicester yesterday. None of us managed to get there, unfortunately. But I was trying to watch on a dodgy stream, which kept fucking up. Not fun. But from what I did see of it, first half, it was a bit of a slog. How did you see it from obviously inside the stadium, Ryan? Was you a bit disappointed with how we started?
Yeah, I think the first 10 minutes we actually came out quite well. I thought we looked all right. And then, we just seemed to give the ball away too much. It was as simple as that, really. Midfield wasn't good enough. I mean, that's not something we could really say under Potter that much, but I think maybe it was a sign of, Potter wasn't there. So, was that a big part of it? I put a tweet on saying I think that a club's best player is the manager now. And I think it was quite noticeable that Potter wasn't there, particularly first half. We were all over the place. We're giving the ball away, and they had so many chances to probably put them 2 or 3-0 up. But yes, Bobby Sanchez kept us in the game, particularly that first half, because, as I say, I don't know what it was. It was Alzate, McAllister just seemed to give the ball away, and that's unrecognisable from them against Chelsea. Yeah, it was a strange first half, but then obviously that's what we expect now, isn't it? With Brighton, we start meh, and then we seem to get into it the last 20 minutes of the game. But at no point during the game did I think, we're going to lose this. Even when we went 1-0 down, you don't think we're going to throw this away. You still think we're still going to come back and get at least a point here, But luckily for Danny, but we'll get on to that in a bit.
It was, as you say, a really, really strange start to the game, and obviously the preparations must have been a little bit hindered. But I was quite cautious in tweeting anything about that, because I don't want to be like the big 6 teams making excuses and saying, COVID this, COVID that,
or we were tired, or something stupid.
But it must have been a huge disruption to the preparation for the game, obviously with Potter out. We don't know who else was out, like many of the backroom staff could have been gone. The normal chef could have been out. We don't know. But Aaron, did you manage to get a decent enough stream to make a fair reflection?
I did, yeah. The first half, like Ryan said, it was quite sloppy in the middle, and you couldn't have said that on Tuesday against Chelsea. Even it sort of seemed to hamper the whole team. From Webster and Byrne, I thought those two were quite poor in the first half. And it sort of seemed to make Alzate, McAllister, Gross a little bit nervous getting the ball on the turn, and they would just make silly passes. And we could have quite easily been 2 or 3-0 down, like Ryan said. There was really good opportunities for Leicester, and if they take them, it's sort of game over really before we even sort of turned up. And it's just it's frustrating, because it's always one of the King Power is always a ground where we never do well on. It seems to, I don't know why. I think I've been there twice and lost twice. This was years ago, to be fair. But I don't know why. I wasn't feeling confident going into it. But like Ryan said, there was at no point when we were 1-0 down thinking, I don't think we're going to lose this still. It's that's how, not confident, but how much we've changed the team over this last sort of 18 months. Like when you go a goal down, you think, here we go again. Like we're going to be up, we're not going to be able to get a goal back, or we're just going to be hanging on here for dear life. But actually, for this season especially, we've shown that fight, we've shown that desire, which is hella impressive. Like, in my opinion, not to do it once, could be luck, but to do it like 6 times now, I think it would be in the last sort of 10 minutes. We've got equalisers. It's impressive. Like, you can't say it's down to luck, and like I said, I love it, absolutely love it. We'll get on to the goal in a little while, but yeah, it was a poor first half performance. To be fair, it was a poor hour, really. And then the subs changed the game.
I think the weird thing was that Leicester weren't actually that good. We just sort of played into them a bit, and I think they seemed to just man-mark Cucurella out of the game. I mean, that's I think what they did in the first half, and it worked. Obviously, we didn't have Lamptey on the pitch, and as I said, no disrespect to Joel Veltman, but he's not going to be like a Lamptey who's going to go take a load of players on and make something happen. And I think once we changed that and brought Lamptey on, went to a back three, everything changed again, and we looked like ourselves. I thought. Yeah, I think that was the biggest problem, that because we didn't have basically Lamptey or Cucurella properly playing, it was like we didn't really know what to do going forward at all, and midfield looked too light. Where we have Albion playing so well on his day, you'd be used to him sort of putting the ball out wide to Lamptey to then go take on someone, and then you've got Trossard just inside. But we didn't have any of that first half, and it felt like it's probably, as I say, I think it is probably just a thing of the lack of manager. Obviously we've got to manage everyone's minutes as well, because we've had so many. I think we've had something like 3 games in the last 8 days or something like that. So it's been a busy schedule. So obviously we're going to be tired and mentally drained as well, as like Tuchel said. But I think we're probably feeling it the most in that game. It felt, I think, the drainingness of it, and now's quite a nice time to just let everyone just recharge a bit.
Yeah, definitely. And I've seen a lot on social media of people saying that, I've seen it all this season, people saying, these are games we would have lost, these are games we would have drawn, etc. Like,
it's true though. It's just true.
It really is.
And the improvement, I saw you highlighted a tweet earlier, Ryan, of some guy saying 1-1 have Brighton really improved since Houghton.
Oh yeah, the Irish guy. Yeah, I tweeted that.
Poorest take I've ever seen. Because if you watch us,
crazy.
Just invest some time and even watch 3 or 4 of our games. It's not even that much. You can see a massive improvement, and the football we play is just unbelievable at times. Obviously, it was a rough 60 minutes yesterday before we sort of changed the game. Lamptey came on, and we looked to be really pushing. Kurtis, first half, did you feel that was really the only change needed to bring Lamptey on?
Yeah, I felt like we definitely missed him. But I understand why they're benching him. Obviously, they want to manage his minutes and whatnot, because what with his recent injury and whatnot. But it was just all very sloppy in that midfield there. I feel like there was a lot of errant passing and stuff. It was very frustrating to watch. But I think, as Ryan said, Sanchez was integral for us in that first half. Otherwise, we would have been, 2 goals down, 2 or 3 goals down. But as soon as those 2 came on, it really impacted our performance, definitely. So.
Yeah, exactly that. And again, we've seen people getting on Neil Maupay's back. Yeah, he didn't have the best game yesterday. And his hold-up play in recent games has been unbelievable. Obviously, he's forced the goal against Palace, which was amazing to see. So there's those little things that people miss with Neil Maupay that
it really annoys me, actually. They just concentrate on the fact he doesn't score a lot of goals, but he does so much more to help the team. It's fantastic.
I mean, you saw the ball again for Welbeck. Was a fantastic ball.
That was an unreal ball.
I think that's the second time now that Maupay. I think it was Man United away. He did a similar ball to Welbeck as well for that goal. Yeah. And I just don't get how people can watch him and think he's a bad player. I just find it crazy. And I see even now. I mean, even fans of other sides that aren't Brighton fans will say, "Oh, you need a better striker. You need someone else." But Maupay's not good enough. But I think Maupay's more than good enough. He's a very good player. He might not be the best in front of goal, but it doesn't mean he's not a good player. I mean, you don't define a player, a striker, based on how many goals they score all the time. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is the goal of playing football, but at the same time, you need your other players scoring goals as well. And luckily, recently, we've actually been getting into that a little bit more. I mean, Danny Welbeck and obviously McAllister's had a few. We've looked at and Trossard as well. We started scoring a few more goals around the pitch, but before then, and particularly last season, that was probably our biggest trouble. We couldn't seem to score unless it was Mopé scoring. And to be fair, Welbeck went on a bit of a run at the end of last season as well. But other than them two, we didn't really have any goals coming from anywhere else, really. And that seems to be something that they've really worked on, I think, because we seem to be able to just grind it out. And even if it's not Welbeck or Mopé, you still fancy us to be in the game. It doesn't matter how long's gone in the game. You still think we'll be okay. We're not going to lose this game. And I think the same applied yesterday.
Even in the 98th minute sometimes, but that's
the way with Seeds.
Because Joe, I've noticed now, like as you mentioned, like seasons before, like we would go like 1-2-0 down, and like our heads would be down. That would be it for it. It would just seem like we would just try not to get scored against more. And now we're just like up for it every single time. And it's really refreshing to see, actually.
I think that sort of comes down from the mentality of the players. Really, we've grown into the Premier League so much. When we first come in, obviously we changed managers from Houghton to Potter, but it's the mentality of we will not be beaten, which is something we haven't had in a long time. Yeah, and it's like I said earlier, it's impressive. And the changes yesterday, we changed formation, went 3 at the back, and then Leicester seemed very confused. Like Thomas was having an absolute nightmare down the left. He just couldn't handle Lamptey. Like just the overlaps from Lamptey were fantastic, and you're just getting so sort of turned in inside and out. It's just again, just is what it is, isn't it? Really, when those sort of things
it makes a bit of a talking point, I think, now, because how long does it take before you start saying we need to start winning games? I think that's where Potter will now be looking at. Why does it take us to have to go a goal down and play a soppy, give the ball away, and try and basically shoot ourselves in the foot before we start thinking, oh my God, it's the last 15 minutes and start playing football again. And then all of a sudden we turn into like prime Barcelona. And before that, though, we look awful. We look disjointed. And it is really strange because it's, as you say, it's not something that's just happened the last few weeks. This has happened consistently pretty much all season. I mean, we could go all the way back to Brentford, which was like September, and we were doing the same thing. And we had barely had a kick in that game. We took it in the last minute. Palace the same. So I think now we got to almost be saying, it's great. We have the character, but we need to actually have the character to not concede first and also not throw it away. We need to actually be more resilient and not conceding those silly goals, because yesterday was a silly goal, wasn't it? We basically gifted it to them straight away.
Well, it was the same as the Chelsea goal. I feel like that could have easily been saved, but there was obviously that little deflection and stuff, which was so frustrating because we were playing excellent in that game.
But it's a strange contrast, isn't it? That obviously against Chelsea, I thought for the full 90 minutes, maybe except for their goal, we were playing unbelievably well. And not even arguably, we were playing better than them. Again, when we played them at Stamford Bridge. But I also think in contrast to last season, I thought most of the games we played really, really, really good football, but it was the constant meme that we just couldn't score a goal. And as Ryan said, if it wasn't Mopé, nobody scored. But then this season we're seeing poor performances but also getting results out of it, which that just shows an improvement in mentality. But as you say, Ryan, when do we say, right, let's merge everything that we've learned under Potter together, and surely that'll breed wins.
I'm not even saying it as a negative. It's just the next thing you want, isn't it? Now you've almost got to look at it with a winning mentality to think, well, we're not a bottom 10 side this season. I think anything, if we finish outside of the top 10, we'll be looking at it as a failure now. We'll be saying, look, we don't deserve to be there. We deserve to be top 8. Really, we do. And we'll be looking at that and we'll be saying, I think Brighton fans included would be thinking, that's a bit underwhelming finish considering how good we've been pretty much all season. I mean, even if we've not necessarily played the best football, but even last season we played, we've proven we can play good football. I think this season we deserve to be finishing top 10. So that would have to be the thing now where we say, look, we've got to start winning some games. And to be fair, we've got a pretty decent run coming up, particularly in February. So we need to start beating some teams, particularly Watford and Burnley. We need to be looking like the side. I mean, we went to West Brom, right, and we looked like we were the Premier League side there. For the first time ever, I thought, wow, Brighton actually brought in some players and looked better for once.
Yeah.
And normally we would play a championship side and scrape by, but we look convincingly better, and that's what you want to see us do. I think against Burnley, against Watford, we need to be proving that now and just showing, look, we're next level. We deserve to be here. A bit like Wolves or a side like that would do to us probably last season or the season before. They show the levels. I think that's what we need to do now.
I think with those games, it's always difficult because I feel they were just going to sit back and let us play. And years gone by, we seem to struggle to break those sort of teams down. So it all depends, especially Burnley. Burnley are a horrible team to play against. God, I hope they go down. But, they're just a horrible, horrible team to play against. We can't. There shouldn't be as much goal threat without Chris Wood. But it's more the fact their back four and Pope included, you're just all 6 foot plus, big units. It's how on earth can we did play when we played them at the start of the season. We played well, and it was we got the win. But it's just sort of it's our first win at Turf Moor in God knows how long. Since we got one at the end of last year, didn't we? Connolly scored.
Yeah.
Before that, we haven't won up there in ages. It's just always a difficult game. Same with Watford. It's going to be a difficult game because they're fighting for their lives. Burnley are fighting for their lives. It's the one I'll look at for me personally is the Newcastle game. That for me is probably bigger than those two because I despise Newcastle with a passion. They're just going to their fans irritate me. I have to.
Aaron, do you like any team below us? Just out of interest.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I don't mind a couple of teams, but just Newcastle especially, just because I think they're bigger than what they are. And Leeds for that matter,
and Villa.
And Villa, yeah, for sure.
Just for the list of Premier League table.
The list could go on, but that for me, if we take 3 points from I say 9 points of those 3 games, like you said, Ryan, then we're like, right, those are teams we've shown that we are a top 10 team, top 8 team.
Yeah,
go from there. Got to build from those because after that, it'll be a difficult sort of end to the season. So.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we need to win these games, but it's sort of games you look at and you should win these games.
All right, let me. I'll just paint you guys a picture quickly. Let's say it's the end of the season. We finished because I'm just going off of what you said, Ryan, about if we finish outside the top 10, people might look at it as a failure. We finish 11th with 48 points, which would be our highest point tally in the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
Looking back at that, would you see that as a failure, finishing 11th with 48 points?
Question. Are we above Palace?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see.
That'd be all right. I think it depends how far adrift we've fallen away from that sort of 8th spot.
Yeah.
I think if we really fell away from it and looked really poor towards the end of the season, we dropped to 11th from sort of 9th all the way through the season. I think you would say, that's a bit of an underwhelming finish. I think if it was one where we, stayed at a pretty consistent rate and it was only a couple of points in it here and there, you'd say, we've had a good season. I think what I'm probably trying to say is you need to have that line of, you want to appreciate where we've come from, but you also need to say, look, we need to start saying we deserve to be there now. And I think that's probably, even if it's not this season, next season especially, you're probably going to be saying, look, we want to even go for Europe next season. I think that would probably be the thing. We'll be saying, look, we want that Europa League spot. And I don't think there's any reason why not. Should we get a decent attacker in the summer or even in the last week of this January window, which I don't think is going to happen. But I think that's the change in mentality now. I think, necessarily 11th wouldn't be awful because obviously if we've got a highest points tally above Palace, etc., that's a nice season. But I think, as I say, there needs to be that line between what do you call a good season and what's an underwhelming finish. And I think if you've fallen away from a pretty consistent sort of 9th, 8th season and finished 11th, you'd probably be a bit like, it doesn't quite reflect how it's been,
Yeah, exactly that. And you mentioned about pushing for European spots in the coming seasons, whether that be next or the season after. Me and Toby got a little bit laughed at when we said about it right at the start, when we released this podcast. But to be fair, look at us now and the football we have been playing. Any Brighton fan with any football knowledge behind them will know that it's miles better than what Houghton. Even someone with the minimal football knowledge would know it's better than what we played under Houghton. But
I mean, you wouldn't even say we're worse than any teams in this league, would you? Really? I mean, footballing wise, I mean, like for like player wise, yeah, 100%. But in terms of actually how we play football and how Graham Potter set us up, we are not worse than probably other than City and Liverpool in terms of setups. I would fancy us going against anyone. I mean, up against Tottenham in the cup, you're not going to think, oh, Tottenham could beat us. You're going to think we can beat Tottenham. You know, we're not going into that game thinking that's a write-off. In the first season of Prem, you think, we're probably going to lose 2-0. It'll be a good day out. Whereas now you're like, no, we're going to win. We're going to win that game, and that's the difference. I think now we're so well set up from top to bottom, and that's all credit to Graham Potter and co. And how they've done that. But
absolutely.
I don't think we're worse than really any teams. I mean, you put us against any of them. In Leicester, I mean, a team we struggled against. We've taken 4 points off them this season now. So,
yeah,
I wouldn't say we're worse than any teams apart from probably City and Liverpool, and that's a bold statement to make. But I think it's true. I mean, we pushed Liverpool to the sword. City, demolished us, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're quite lucky in where we are and what other teams are doing at the moment, because there's a lot of teams above us that are in a little bit of a rough moment. Like Tottenham, for example, Man United. The toxicity
we're going to beat Tottenham, by the way. We're going to beat Tottenham.
I hope so. But the toxicity around some of these clubs is mind-boggling. You know, like Arsenal as well. If we go up against Arsenal, I always fancy us to beat them. Ever since we beat them, what was it, under Potter? Under Potter when we were wearing the black shirt. I thought
the Emirates, that was a great day.
I thought that seals it for me that we can go toe to toe with. I know, obviously, it was
Mopé, you're a cheat. I hope Brighton get relegated.
But we can go toe to toe with any team in this league. We've shown it against Liverpool. We've beaten Liverpool. We've beaten City. We've beaten Arsenal. I think the only
to
team
say these
we haven't
things,
beaten.
by the way, like to hear, to hear that we beat Liverpool and beat Tottenham, like beat those two in a row as well.
Yeah,
like, it's nuts to me, and it's amazing to see that Potter's getting the best out of players like Dan Burn, for instance. So I was like a bit unsure about Dan Burn for a while, and then he made Lukaku look like Akinfenwa, right? Which is bloody insane. Like he just pocketed him the whole game, and it's just good to see those players doing well.
Yeah.
So
exactly that. A fat Akinfenwa at that. That was the chant, wasn't it? You're just a fat Akinfenwa. Of it. But yeah, as you say, that the progression of all of the players, even players that were on the fringe of our team 2 seasons ago, are playing unbelievably well. Did Dan Burn come in under Houghton, or was that Graham Potter?
I think he was under Houghton,
I
think he was under Houghton. We loaned him to someone, didn't we? Was it?
He was kept at Wigan. He was kept at Wigan.
We go back to Wigan. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, we signed him, then he stayed at Wigan for the season because they were trying to fight to stay up. And then he came that year. The same year Matt Clark came from us from Portsmouth.
Yeah, he was with Wigan 18-19 season. He was. Yeah.
I had a chat. I can't remember if it was on the podcast or not. It probably was, but about how many Houghton players are left. I don't know. So we've got Dunk, obviously. Solly March. Who else?
Gross.
Dan Burn, Gross.
Gross, yeah, I forgot about Gross.
Is that it?
I mean, you wouldn't even really say Dan Burn was a Houghton player, would you? Because he didn't really him. I know he was signed by him, but you wouldn't associate it. But that era, it's crazy, isn't it? Like Knockout, Duffy. I mean, Duffy's still here, just about.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, all those Dale Stevens, Steve Sibb, all those players are just gone. It's really strange. That whole era of probably the best, most entertaining Brighton years that you can probably remember is gone. I just find that crazy still. I mean, I know we're in 2022, but you still have such fond memories of that championship year we got promoted. It doesn't feel like that long ago. Certainly doesn't feel like 5 years ago.
It's still, honestly, it still feels like last year for me, because like I remember that season so fondly. I can probably remember every single game. If you shoot a game at me, I'll tell you the exact scoreline and who scored. And it's mad, our 5th season in the Premier League now. Some people need obviously when they do moan about what's going on at the club at the moment, a bit of a reality check to see where we have come from. I've said it so many times, it's boring now to say it, but where we have come from to where we are now, unbelievable, and long may it continue.
Yes.
But yeah, Ryan, how have you seen the season so far? Obviously, we've spoken about it a little bit now, but has there been like a standout game for you, or?
Do you know what? I think overall the whole season's been good. I'd say compared to last season, if you're purely looking at performance-wise, we've been a lot worse than last season. But we've been taking our chances. I would put it as more enjoyable. I've probably been to more away games and stuff this season than I would normally go to in this half of the season. And I've been enjoying going to these games. It's been a lot more entertaining. You want to go to an away game for Brighton because we're not just going to go there, park the bus and lose 2 or 3-0. You're going to go there and get some entertainment. In terms of, performance-wise, probably we haven't been as good, but we definitely still warrant to be on that half of the table, as I said earlier. I think we're still a couple of quality players away from completing the team. I certainly don't think the team's finished. I think we've still got, I've been told that I was silly for saying we needed a striker. I still think we need another centre forward. Regardless of how many, we could go score another 5 or 6 goals in the next 2 weeks, but that's not the point. I still think we need someone else to partner Mopé. Welbeck does get injured a lot despite his qualities. So I think we still need to complete the team. And obviously there's a lot of young players in there. But I think overall we've been very good. I think it's been one of the best seasons, probably the best season to watch in the Premier League so far. And probably the best season to watch Brighton-wise with the Championship promotion year, I'd say, is probably the only one that comes close. Maybe that 15-16, barring Middlesbrough game. If you just don't watch that one and close your eyes, that was a good season. But yeah, in terms of turning points and good games, I'd say, to be honest with you, I think the Brentford away, to score that that goal in the way we did, and the time it was at, that was sort of set the tone for how we were going to be. We didn't know it at the time, but it was one of those where it was a bit like that Leicester game as well at home. I feel like that was a big one. That really showed to me that, okay, we can really, really grind these out and fluke it out. I mean, if we've got, 2 goals, which arguably should have stood for Leicester going for us, I was thinking, well, that wouldn't have happened last season. We had everything go against us. We had the worst luck I've probably ever seen a team have in the Premier League. So, those bits of luck and those little moments, Mopé against Palace. I mean, there's been some absolute crackers, isn't there, this season? I mean, Chelsea away. I didn't go to Chelsea away, but there's just been absolute scenes left, right, and centre. So, yeah, I think all the games are good, but I'd say the biggest one, I think, for me is Leicester at home, where we fluked it that much and we really not deserved anything, and yet beating a side which we never beat in Premier League history to win in the way we did. I think it sort of set the tone for this season, saying, look, we can really grind this out this season and look, very decent in the meantime. So yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah, definitely. And I just realised as you were speaking that we completely glossed over Danny Welbeck's goal yesterday. But there's been a lot of talk. Obviously, he's entering the last few months on his contract. Would you be offering him a new deal?
100%. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
without a doubt. Best quality player I've seen. In terms of individual qualities, he's one of the best I think Brighton have had. If he wasn't injured so much and memed at Arsenal, people would rate him just as highly as they did when he was a youngster at United. He's genuinely got so much quality about him. He's more than just a big fat lump up front. So yeah.
Exactly that. Class is permanent. Aaron, the goal yesterday, obviously, as I say, we glossed over it a bit, so we're touching it now. We spoke about the ball in from Neil Maupay, but with Danny Welbeck on the end of that and a fit Danny Welbeck, he's always going to put that away, isn't he?
He is, yeah. That's his bread and butter. But I know you sort of said it earlier, but the ball in from Maupay is unreal. Like the pace, the whip, like everything about it was literally right on his head.
Perfect, it was.
Honestly, it was perfect. It was similar to sort of the Murray against Arsenal sort of ball from Groves.
Yeah.
It was perfect delivery. And yeah, when that ball hit the post and sort of went in, because I was watching on the stream as well. Just the limbs in this household were quite crazy. But anyway, there's only 3 of us.
Kurtis, it was never in doubt when it left Mope's boot that was going to be a goal.
Never. No, I mean, no, honestly, like, again, this is what I've been saying throughout all these pods that we do. Like, he's just criminally underrated. I think people just concentrate so much on the fact that, yes, he misses some integral goals and things like that, and it's frustrating, sure, but people don't seem to realise how busy he is in that whole area and what he does for the side. And as soon as I saw that whip, I knew it was going in, but I was also watching a stream and my phone notified me before the goal. So I was sat on the sofa just like, yes, come on. And then I just saw it like 5 minutes afterwards. So I was like frustrated. But it was bloody excellent. Like, it was really, really, really good. And yeah, like, sign Welbeck up for another 2 years or whatever. Absolutely.
100%. For the viewers, we cut a bit where my brain just went completely blank. What I was going to say before my brain went blank was the Leicester players, all they could do was just watch that ball come in. From the moment, as I say, it left Malpe's boot, it was just like, okay, yeah, we're done. And yeah, Schmeichel obviously performed quite well yesterday and saved a few shots.
Just complain. High waisting and complaining all the time. I like him as a goalkeeper, don't get me wrong, but my God, sometimes he's the sharp. Just get on with the game, mate. He does my head in, seriously. Yeah, he's a good player.
He always turns it on when he needs to. Luckily, obviously, we pushed through and got the goal, but if it wasn't
that Welbeck header that he nearly got to would have been sublime if he got that. Like, just before the goal, like, would have been.
Yeah, and there was a shot from Leandro Trossard as well that he saved well.
That Trossard save was fantastic. That was
how did he stop that? I actually forgot about that. Can't lie.
That was a really good save. I can't tell you how difficult those opportunities are to save. Like, well cast goal.
I genuinely thought Burns' header. I thought that was in. I really did. I was getting ready to celebrate then, and when he cleared it off, I thought it was gonna, he was gonna miss it. It was gonna just get over. I was gutted, but no, I'm not complaining because on the grand scheme of things, I think a point's probably a fair result, isn't it? I mean, we started poorly, and then the last sort of 30 minutes probably we could have won it. So then on that basis, probably a draw is okay. Considering the amount of chances Leicester had first half, I'd say.
Yeah, I think maybe a poor mentality from me, but I would have taken a draw at the start of the game, to be fair. Before it would have been kicked. A point at King Power, you can't complain with that, really. And as long as you're picking points up away from home, it's always a good thing. There's one guy on this podcast that would have loved that Dan Burn header to go in. Aaron,
our resident lover of Dan Burn. Aaron.
How gutted were you when that was cleared off the line?
Just there with limbs when the first goal went in. Right, I've been doing backflips in the living room if that went in. It was a great set piece as well. It was a great ball in, and it was a really good header. Like Ryan said, I was just hoping it just sort of nestled over the guy on the line.
It was Telemans, wasn't it, who cleared it off the line?
It was. But yeah, I've said it once, and I'll say it again. He is a god amongst us mortal men, and I stand by that.
Get it tattooed.
Easy now. Easy now.
But the funny thing is, since we've been joking about that, he has actually been unbelievable.
He has.
Arguably, based on if he carries on. Yeah, if he carries on towards the end of the season, I would say a big shout for Player of the Year, 100%. But yeah,
he's up there, definitely up there.
By the way, okay, I want to ask this as we got Ryan here. I want to gauge Ryan's opinion on this. What do you make of how will we integrate Dunk back in, would you say? What with how strong our back line is with Webster and Burn?
I would say I would have Dunk's got to be straight back in. He's the captain. He's been the best defender that we've had for the last 6-7 years. So he has to come straight back into the side. People are saying he has to come into the side. I put Dunk central, Burn left because you can't drop Burn. He needs to be in there regardless. And then I put Webster on the right. Harsh, but I'd probably drop Veltman. I think I'm not saying anything against Veltman. He didn't have his best game yesterday, but at the same time, he's a consistent performer. But Dunk, Burn, and Webster just has a much better ring to it. And I think obviously if Lamptey's fit, he has to start right wing back. And I think we're better as a 5. I think we're better as a 5. I like us as a 4, but I prefer us as a 5. I think we look a lot better and more dominant when we've got 3 at the back. So yeah, Dunk central, Webster on the right, and Burn on the left.
Yeah, there's been a couple of games this season where Veltman has played in a 4 at right back, and he's just looked a little bit dodgy. And in a 3, he looks, I think, fantastic. But yeah, playing at right back with that much, what do you call it? What's the word? Responsibility. I think it's a bit scary, but yeah, I would go with that. Aaron, would you say that's our strongest back 5?
100%. With going forward at the back with Veltman as right back, we also seem to lose a little bit of attacking sort of threat, really. 5 at the back, I think, just suits us, to be honest. It suits Kukurea, it suits Lamptey, and I couldn't agree with Ryan anymore with the back 3 has to be Webster, Dunk, Burn. It just has to be, I think. Don't get me wrong, like Veltman's done nothing wrong, but I just think you can't drop Burn with his performances in the last sort of like 3 or 4 months. You're not going to drop Webster, and you have to pay Dunk. You have to.
Yeah, and I think he's probably coming back at the best time possible as well, because obviously most likely play against Spurs. Obviously, I don't know, but obviously get some minutes behind him and then come back in the Premier League much stronger. Because as much as I'd love us to have a cup run, I don't see the Spurs game as a huge priority. So it will be nice for players to get some minutes and get some sharpness back. Yeah. Especially, obviously, we've got this break coming up as well. So
I think it's a needed break as well. So
yeah, we're looking a bit jaded now. I think it's probably come at the right time. And yeah, to be fair, that's a good point with Dunk as well. And we've got a fair amount of players out as well. Lallana's coming back from injury, so it gives these players a bit of a chance to just chill, just settle a little bit and come back into the side a bit stronger, because we've been good up until now. It's not like we're going into this with no confidence. We're also not going into it with extremely high confidence. So we're just all right. It's not like we're going to be flying too high and killing that off, and we're also not too low where we're going to dwell on it. So I think it's quite a nice time for a break for us.
Yeah, exactly that. And obviously Basuma's out at AFCON at the moment, and give him time to come back as well. Just on that, Ryan, with Basuma, obviously there's a lot of links to Aston Villa and recently Newcastle as well for £50 million. Obviously he's got 18 months left on his contract. How do you see that situation? Should we be selling up now if he's not going to sign a contract, or how do you see that?
I think if he was to sign a contract, he would have done it last summer. So I would be on the side of he should go now. I think as much as I like him as a player, I think he's a great player. He's genuinely one of the best players I've seen play for us. I think he's probably one of the best centre midfielders definitely I've seen play for us. But it comes a time, doesn't it, where you've got this sort of money. We've proven we can do it without him. We've got Mwepu, we've got Moda, we've got Lallana, we've got Gross even on his day, McAllister. We've got Alzate as well. We've got a very good selection of midfielders without even playing Caicedo once. I think if there's ever a time where we're ready to get rid of Basuma, I think it's now. 50 mil. It's another 50 mil to add to the bank account. I mean, we've got that 50 mil from Ben White. It's £100 million from 2 players that have done well for us, but we don't necessarily miss. I mean, maybe at the beginning of the season, I probably wouldn't have been saying this, but now I've seen us being able to be okay without him. And especially with Alzate coming into the side and looking quite strong again, despite a couple of, giving the ball away, I still think overall he's a very good player. I would be okay with that and move on. £100 million to play with a team desperate need of signing a centre forward or even a wing of some sort. So I would get us to cash in probably.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You was cutting out a little bit there, but we'll try and edit that the best way possible. It's all right. It's all right, mate. No worries. But I completely agree. £50 million is something that you couldn't really turn down for a player that's 18 months left on the contract. So if Newcastle, if they want to take him,
I don't think he'll go to.
No,
I just don't. Or Villa, I just don't. I think he's got bigger ambitions than that.
So do I.
Newcastle. Again, when I spoke to one of my friends who's a Newcastle fan, a guy I used to work with, I just literally put about probably about 70 or 80 crying, like laughing faces when I sent him the link to the Basuma thing. And I was like, it was never going to happen. It was like, just watch this space. I was like, you're going down. It's not going to happen. Why would you want to go to a club? Granted, if he has ambitions to play in the Champions League and Europe, you won't go to Newcastle. Not yet.
No.
They need a massive rebuild. I'm talking like a good sort of like 13, 14 players out to bring back in.
Yeah.
I can understand the attraction to Villa. Don't get me wrong. Playing under a world-class midfielder, they're starting to bring in big name players. But will they get Champions League football this year? No. Will they get European football this year? No. I can't see why. It's not a step up; it's a sideways step. If that's even really a sort of sideways step, really. Newcastle's a downward step. Villa would be the sideways step, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If a team like United or even Arsenal to a certain degree, and I'd be like, fair enough. Granted, last year, when the summer when Ben White left, I was like, that's a sideways move. So Arsenal are going to do very little in many competitions are in, and I've sort of been proven right by that because they're out of the FA Cup. They're doing 5th or 6th in the Premier League. And,
somewhere.
Yeah, they're just again sort of sat there really.
Yeah, I think they've been the team that's most heavily linked with Basuma over the last God knows how many transfer windows.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see them come back in for him, especially with obviously the likes of Aston Villa and Newcastle sniffing around. If they do see he's available and ready to go, then I don't see that as a terrible move, to be honest. But
yeah, money talks. If they offer enough money, we'll accept it. Doesn't matter really.
Yeah.
On the if it's a sideways step or a downward step, money talk, and both of them have got a lot of money. So
and as much as I'd hate
talks.
to see, exactly that. As much as I'd hate to see Basuma leave, as you say, Ryan, we have done it without him. We've got Mwepu, we've got Moda. You've listed the players already. So I think it maybe is time for him to go. But if he stays, happy days. I can't complain with that. Would you agree with that, Kurtis?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I remember when he went to the AFCON, I was quite concerned about our midfield. I was like, oh God, here we go. Like, this is going to be tricky. But I think we've proved quite a few times that we haven't missed him, really. I mean, we've not really been outright dominated in that midfield area since he's been gone, which has been quite nice to see. But I think, as Ryan mentioned, if there's ever going to be a time to do it, it might as well be now, to be honest. If we can get that money and put that towards some signings or whatever, that would be great.
Spot on.
To see what he wants to do as well. Obviously.
And if they could do it in the next couple of days, if he is going to leave, if they could do it in the next couple of days and get the money to us so we can get a few strikers in, that would be lovely. But lots of exciting things coming up on Albion Obsessed. We do have a transfer special episode coming up where we're going to give the lads £50 million and we're going to go shopping. So that should be good fun. I do ask the viewers to take it with a bit of a pinch of salt because some of the players mentioned might not be quite that realistic, but it's just a bit of fun. It's fine. But thank you, Ryan, for coming on. I'm sure people know where to find you, but it's Ryan Adsett on Twitter, Seagull Social. Go check them out. They're doing amazing stuff. And it's been great to chat to you, mate. So
thank you for your time.
Up the Albion. No worries, mate.
Up the Albion.
Speak soon. And take care, everyone. See you later.